Hi there and welcome to another PSD Tuts Plus spoon-fed Photoshop tutorial. I'm Gavin Steele, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be taking you through how to create a fun red-haired boy character. And this original tutorial is by Anastacia, and let's have a look at the final image down here. Now, for someone like myself, this looks like an absolute nightmare. I'm so bad at drawing that to attempt anything to do with characters, caricatures, or anything like that, it really does scare me. But I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to show you my final result that I got my earlier attempt. But as usual, all of the steps are clearly laid out in the original tutorial, and I'm going to take you through how to create our little redhead boy. So do check out our other videos over in the video section just by clicking on videos over at psd.tutsplus.com, and let's get started. Let me show you what I created in Photoshop. This is my attempt, and I know what you're thinking. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's not bad. I'm just going to turn off my attempt. I'll turn off the background layers, and you can see it looks pretty good. Some of you little hawk eyes would have spotted my disaster zone, and that is his feet, and they did not turn out at all. I'm just going to really zoom in on them because they are particularly bad. They did not turn out well at all, and we'll see how we get on during the tutorial, but everything else I think looks pretty good. His face looks pretty good, the shadow's alright. And for someone who hates drawing, this is a really cool way of getting your characters designed and out so you can see them in full color and everything like that. So I'm going to turn off what I've done, and I'm going to stick that in a group. I'm going to call that first, bring that down, lock it and turn it off. And I'm going to start with the author's original sketch, which you can see is a pretty rough sketch. They obviously need to know how to draw the hair and stuff like that. I'd be lost, but it's good having a guide like this. And again, if you sign up for the PSD Tuts Premiership area, you'll get these files, and you can practice sketching over these sketches to come up with your own characters. And then I've got the coloured layer underneath. So they're the first couple of steps over in the tutorial of bringing your sketch in, applying some really rough colouring to your sketch, and then we can start with the tutorial itself, we're pretty much at step 4. So we're going to use the ellipse tool, and we're going to use that for the head. So I'm just going to zoom in on our head here. That is way too close. Let's come out a little bit more. Okay, that looks pretty good. So head over to our ellipse tool. We're going to try and capture the head. That's not bad, and I'm just going to move this over like so. I'm going to right click on this layer, and I'm going to remove, clear my layer style. So we've just got this color here, and we're getting an idea of the size of the head. A little bit too big, so I'm going to just bring that down, bring it in just a touch, just move it down. Again, the sides, Command T. That looks much better. Okay, and for the colors, I'm just going to choose this FED9BF. Click on OK. That's kind of a skin color. It works for me. That's not bad at all. So once you've drawn them on, we need to add a couple of things. We need to add our ears. So I'm going to zoom in on the ear on the left. And thanks to the sketch, we've got a general idea of where that ear is going to go. Head over to the pen tool. I'm going to grab the add anchor point. And I'm going to add an anchor point here, here, and here. Then I'm going to grab my direct selection tool, and I'm going to grab the middle one and just bring it out roughly to the edge. Then just drag this arm out, so, drag this one out. Like so, and it kind of lifts off to the left. And again, we can just zoom out and have a look. Okay, that might be a little bit too far. Let's come back in, and again, that's one of the things about character design is you want to get them looking perfect, just how you imagine them in your head. I think that's pretty good. Alright, let's move over to the ear on the right, just holding down space to move around the canvas. And again, going to add some points, going to add one here, in the middle, and on the end. A on the keyboard takes you to direct selection tool, drag out your middle to roughly where you want it, and then just bring these arms out. Like so. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's zoom out and have a look. It's a little bit wobbly up there, so I'm just going to just adjust that. Click away. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we've added our ears now. We're going to apply a layer style, so double click on that layer, and we're going to start with an inner shadow. So let's set our inner shadow to multiply, and then for the color, again, I'm just going to have to grab a color from over here. That's F8AE8A. Click on OK, and it's like a light pink. We're going to set that to 48%, so 48 there, 120 degrees. Our distance we're going to set is going to be 0, 0 for the choke, and 122 for our size, so nice and big. Inner glow now, make sure you've got that selected. Make sure that's on overlay. And our opacity we're going to reduce right down to 26, 0 for our noise, and then the color, again I'm going to grab another light skin color, which is FFE6BE, click on OK, and then we're going to set this to 3, 26, sorry, is fine, 0 is fine, yep, 3 for our choke, 6 for our size, and then that's going to stay the same, is fine. And let me just check this a second. I'm just looking at my notes here, it doesn't look quite right. We've got it set to overlay is fine, 26 for the opacity, 0 for our noise. We've selected our skin color, that's right, set it to softer. We need to change this to center, so make sure you've got it on center, and then it's going to be 0 and 215 for the size. And we're going to click on OK, and let's have a look. So we've kind of got this glow, which kind of gives us kind of the shape of the face, which is really nice. Let's create a new layer. And on this new layer, we're going to paint in some of our blushes. They're going to be either side of the cheek. So I'm going to hit B for brush and make sure, change that to nice big solid brush. Oops. Yeah, that's pretty good. And again, I'm just going to sample color from the side here, and that is FFAB8F. Click on OK, and just think about positioning these. Now I'm going to draw one right around here. Nice big blushy cheek. Looks pretty good. And I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and have that set to about 35.5. Click on OK. V on the keyboard, Alt, just drag that over. I'm going to press Shift to keep it the same height. Just bring that over to the right, and I'm just going to knock it down. V on the keyboard, just a couple of, just so it's not perfectly symmetrical. And I don't want it going over the edge here, so I'm just going to bring it up. Like so. Grab those two, merge, Command E or Control E on the keyboard, and we're going to rename this layer Blush for now, and click on OK. So given that the Gaussian blur, what we need to do now is we're just going to turn off our layer visibility for our head and our cheeks, and we're going to use this background as we start to draw up our face. We're going to start with the eyes. So I'm going to grab the ellipse tool again, and I'm going to zoom in on the right eye. Okay, and going to have that set to white. Just draw out my eye. Just going to free transform it just a little bit. Okay, that's not bad. And I've just drawn in that eye with the ellipse tool. Now, once you've done that, we need to apply a layer style to our right eye. And we're going to start with the drop shadow. And we're going to set that drop shadow to linear burn. And we're going to go for a dark pink. Let's grab that color, and I'm just going to sample this again. This is 8F, 4F, 4B. Let's click on OK and bring this back over so we can kind of see what's going on. And we're going to set the opacity for this is going to be 26. Our angle is going to be 120, and make sure you check global light. Then distance is going to be 0. Spread is going to be 0, and size is going to be 10. Then we're going to apply an inner shadow. Our inner shadow is going to be set to multiply, and the color is going to be a light brown. I'm going to grab that. 987B66, click on OK. Again, let's just bring that back. Okay, so multiply that light brown, set it to 71, so reducing the opacity. 120, check the global light. 0 for our distance, 0 for our choke. In fact, we can actually bump that up to 2. And the size, we're going to have that set to 18. And click on OK. And that looks pretty good. Next thing to do is we're going to paint in our eye. I'm just going to grab a brush, solid brush, and create a new layer. And I'm just going to draw that on. Now, make sure you've got black selected. So I'm just going round and round. It's not quite a perfect circle, but it's not bad. And I'm going to draw in our shadow layer. Now, to do the shadow, all we have to do is use the ellipse tool, and we need to make sure that we're below our eye. And I'm just going to draw this like so. I'm going to V and just move it to the right, up just a touch. Going to free transform that again over to the right, hit enter. Going to grab A, my direct select tool, grab that edge, and I'm just going to make it not so egg shaped. Just going to bring that down just a touch. Double click on our color. I'm going to sample this like so. Click OK. I'm just going to reduce that opacity down like so, and I'm going to come back into my eye layer, my pupil, sorry, and I'm going to sample not quite black. This color over here is 40392F. Click on OK, and with that brush again, I'm going to fill it with white, and then just brush in that darker color. Like so. Let's have a look at how our eyes come on. Okay, that's not bad. Let's turn back on our other layers just so we can see that eye in isolation, and that's not bad at all. So we can grab these top layers, group them, call that right eye, going to duplicate that, and we're going to drag that copy over to the left. Oh, not sure, Photoshop struggling there. So V on the keyboard, going to bring that over. Again, turn these layers off so we can see underneath and just get this lined up perfectly. Command T, right click, I'm going to flip that horizontally, hit enter. Now we've got those kind of eye sockets going in the right directions. And that's pretty much our eyes for now, so we don't need to worry about that. We're now going to start looking at creating our glasses. Zoom right in on our face again, and we can start to look at this area around here. Now we're just going to use our shape tools over here and just start to build up these shapes. So I'm going to start with our ellipse tool, and again I'm going to sample the blue from inside our color there that we decided earlier on, and just going to grab a circle, and these are going to be perfectly round glasses like so. Going to right click, just clear that layer style. Again I'm going to click in the middle and just bring this out. Okay, it's not quite the middle, so I'm going to bring a guide down. It should snap pretty much. Oh, I already had one there. Like so, so it's these two here. Just gonna remove that guide. Okay, so now again with the ellipse tool, if you hold down Alt, we're going to say subtract this area here, and you can decide on the thickness of your glasses and just click, and it will get rid of that area that you've created. And then on that layer, V, Alt, and just drag across like so. Now I've got the two circles done. I can work on the sides. Just going to zoom out just a touch so I can see both sides, maybe try and get it level. You can see it's not quite level in the sketch, and that might add to the cookiness of the character. I'm just going to grab my pen tool, and I'm going to start over here, come right across, down, close that off, right click, make that a selection, G on a new layer, and fill. But if I do that, I'm not going to be able to make any adjustments later on, so I'm going to deselect that. I'm going to come up and just grab the rectangle tool, have that come like so, just rotate it a touch and move it in. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna grab that over here, Command T, bring that over. Don't worry about the edges, we're going to cover that up with hair. That's pretty good. And now we need to create this area in the middle. So come back to the pen tool, make sure you've got our first option selected up here at the top. So we're going to actually color in and draw in this shape, and I'm going to select here, and here, create our little arch, come down, select there and there. Like so. Alt click on our ends, close that up, and we now have that shape. So let's just turn on our layers, and you can see we've got our glasses, and it's, you know, his face is starting to take shape. All right, let's group all of those glasses together. Command G or Control G, like so. I'm going to merge them down, so Command E, and they look a little bit flat, so if we double click on that layer and apply some layer styles, we'll start with an inner shadow. Okay, and we're going to set our inner shadow to multiply, and the color is going to be, this time we're going to use 158593. Click on OK. Opacity is going to be set to 80. 120 with global light is fine. We're going to use 0, 0, 9. And excuse my chair. We're going to have an inner glow. We're going to set our inner glow to screen, and we're going to have that set to 19 or 18. The noise we're going to have set to 0, and our color, we can change this color to C1F 8F D. Click on OK. Now we're going to have this set to softer. We're going to change it to center, and then we're going to have it set to 0 and 18. Then we're going to apply a drop shadow. Okay, drop shadow. We're going to set our drop shadow to multiply, change the color to 7 F69 5E. Click on OK. Opacity, we're going to reduce that down to 6.9, and now we need to make sure that we don't check our global light. So uncheck that, set your angle to 106, 3, 0, and 10. Okay, it looks pretty good. A little bit of depth in there, which is good. And click on OK, and we finished with our glasses. Next up is our mouth. Let's bring them up, and we're going to be working on our mouth in this area here. So we need to draw this out. Again, we're going to use the pen tool, and I'm just going to set this color to 942 A2 C. Click on OK. And the shape for our mouth is going to be as if it's open and smiling with our 2 teeth coming down. So I'm going to grab this guide. I'm trying to get it close to the center of his face. Get rid of that for now. Get rid of that. Yeah, get rid of that. Okay, so going to start on the left hand side. Going to come across. Down. Back up. And then finish off. Then we can go in with our direct select tool, and we can play around with how open we want the mouth to be. Okay. just make that a little bit wider. Like so. And I think we can grab that layer. Just nudge it to the right just a touch. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be symmetrical. No one's mouth is symmetrical, but just get that general kind of shape going for your mouth. And then we're going to apply layer style to this. And we're going to have an inner shadow. We're going to set this to multiply, and we're going to change this color to 942 A2C. Click on OK. Now, I think I might have got my colors mixed up. I'll just carry on with this and we'll go back and change our base color. So have it set to that, that's fine. 57 for our percentage. 120 with our checked global light. Then we're going to have 0, 0, and 62. Click on OK. Grab my original color, and I put the wrong color in there. BD 5D 51. Click on OK, that's much better. So now we've just got those darker edges around the sides. Next thing we're going to do is bring in our teeth. So we're going to head over here. I'm going to use my rounded rectangular tool, set at about 12 pixel radius up there. Change the color to white, and I'm going to have them coming down like so. Just going to start with the 1, double click on that layer. We're going to give that a layer style, going to give it another inner shadow, set that to multiply. This time I'm going to get the color right. We're going to use a 9C 926 F. Click on OK. Reduce that down to 47%, 120 with global light, 0, 0, and 24 for our size. Click on OK. It's just a really fine edge to that tooth. V, Alt drag over till we get the slightest little gap. Grab the two of them. Gonna get that somewhere near center. Don't be too cruel and have massive buck teeth, but just reduce them down a touch. And then we can command click, group those, Command G, and then we can command click on our mouth, and we can mask that group so it just fits that area there. Command H to hide my guide, and there we have the rather large teeth. Now, what we can also do is, if you don't want to mask in that way, if you feel like it just leaves a little bit of a gap, we can just grab a selection here, go down, and you can add your mask this way. Just fill that with white, and then grab that selection, and with a black brush, or change the color to black, fill that in, and you get rid of it. V on the keyboard now means I can just nudge that up and get rid of that little gap, that little bit of red there. Okay, that's our teeth. Next thing to do is move on to our nose. And again, we're going to be using the pen tool. So let's have that selected. And I'm going to start off with our kind of darkish, pinkish. Let's create a new layer. Let's select this pink color down here. And we're going to start at the top. We can just click here and here. Alt click on the end. Until we get a nice little round nose like that. Let's right click, clear that layer style, because we're going to apply our own new layer style to our nose. drop shadow. We're going to start with multiply. Going to change that color. We're going to change that to B388. Whoops. B38875. Click on OK. Reduce that down to 54. We're going to change our angle to not use global light. Reduce that down to 40. 7 and 0 and 10 for our size. Inner shadow next. Again, we're going to have that set to multiply. This time we can change the color to D79 77B. Click on OK. Reduce that down to 37. This time we're going to have minus 90 for our angle. 8 for our distance, 0 and 13 for our size. Click on OK. Let's click away. And we've got our nice little nose. Very, very cute. But if you feel like it's not quite, matching up, we can come back in here and we can select just a lighter area there. That looks good. I'm just going to go in and check my angles. This drop shadow 90 degrees, not 40. Click OK, that's much better. Now we've got our nose there. It might be a little bit low, or a little bit small. You might want to make it a little bit longer, but I think that looks pretty cute. And for someone who has no idea on how to draw or create characters, I really love this tutorial because the end result, you're just smiling that you've created a cool little character. Alright, so we've done the nose. The next thing we're going to do is add some cute little freckles either side. Let's grab our brush tool and let's sample the orange from the hair. Just come a bit lighter. I've got an EF8834, new layer, and I'm going to create 3. Maybe make them a little bit bigger. 1, 2, 3. And 3. Like so. And I'm just going to reduce the opacity on those just a touch, a little bit strong. And that's our face done. The next thing we're going to worry about, I think, is going to be our hair. But at the minute he's a little bald guy. So we're going to move on and we're going to start to create this hair in the background here. You might want to have a bald character. That's obviously totally up to you. So let's have a look at the hair next. Go back to the tutorial and let's have a look at the hair. We're going to start with this initial leaf shape and we're going to create these 3 big little bits of hair, then a couple around the side, and then we're going to use the same techniques for the colouring for all the rest. So just a little bit of time to draw them out. So let's go back into Photoshop, and like I said, we're going to start with our pen tool, and I'm going to leave it on this light orange colour, and we're going to start creating this leaf shape. So let's check our colour. It's a little bit bright. Let's go FE7600. Okay, and we're going to create a little bit of a leaf shape. So we're going to start up here, top of his hair, going to come down like so, come back up, alt click and finish off. Okay, a little bit too sharp. Let's zoom in, make sure we can all see what we're doing. Okay, so there's our little leafy shape. Going to double click on that. Let's turn these off for a second, and we're going to apply a drop shadow. Set that to multiply. Let's change this color. Make sure you can see those colors to 9D3706. Click on OK. 55 for our opacity. 94 for our angle. We're not using global light. 3, 8, and 8 for our size. Angle's going to be fine. Inner shadow, we're going to set that to multiply, change that color to B75F 17. We're going to have that set to 71. We're going to use global light for this, and we're going to set it to 113, 0, 0, and 70. And finally, we're going to apply inner glow. We're going to set the inner glow to overlay. We're going to have that at 33%, 0 for our noise. The default yellow is fine. Softer, centered, set to 0, and finally 117. And let's click on OK, and we get this lovely orange glow for our hair. Okay, now I'm just going to grab a couple of these points in my hair, and I'm just going to bring them and just extenuate them just a little bit. Like so. That looks pretty good. So it's just a little bit further down our forehead. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to Command J. I'm going to duplicate that layer, grab the original layer, just move that over to the right, Command T. Okay, A, and grab these points, and I'm just going to play around with this. Just move that over, and then I think finally we have, so these two, I need to make this one a little bit bigger, and then one little swirl going up in the opposite direction. So A, grab these, okay, that looks pretty good. So I've duplicated that layer, Command T, right click, gonna flip that, whoops, I don't want to mess around with my pen tool, let's flip that vertically. Oh. Yep, that's fine. Gonna move this over to the right. Bring it underneath all our layers. And we're really gonna work with this one and try and get the little flick up at the end. I know what I'm doing. Just didn't look right over there. Okay. And we're just going to grab these points, maybe even add a point, just so we can work. Okay, I'm just playing around with the shape. Having a look at the original, comes right down. Now what I'm going to do is I might just start this last one. This shape isn't working for me anymore, so I'm going to bin that, grab my pen tool and just start at the back over here. Going to come down to here. It's a little bit too far. Yeah, and then down, up. Oops. And finally finish that off. Now we can go in and play, just make this a little bit thicker, move these points over. So it is a little bit fidgety. That's not too bad for our 3 little bits of hair there. Okay, now we're going to create the hair that's going to go down the sides of the head. So let's just zoom out just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to start on the right side here. Grab my pen tool. Now, right click, clear the layer style, double click, and for these little smaller ones we need to just reduce excuse me, some of the original styles from the top parts because they're not going to be as bright. So I'm going to copy my layer style and come down here, paste that layer style on top. I'm not sure why that's excuse me. Oh, that's because that base color's all wrong. So just going to grab that, click on OK, that's better. Copy that layer style, paste it on here. It's better. Go back in, and then we're just going to go into a couple of these and reduce our size. So in the shadow, can reduce that down to about 27. It's looking better. And our inner glow, reduce that down to 54. My voice is slowly going here. Yeah, mid 50s. Click on OK. We've got nice orange sideburns. They don't look great, but we can always go back in and play around with some of these points. Excuse me. So we've got a little squiggle here, which is always annoying. And you can get rid of it like so. Kind of make this a little bit more pointed, just to come over his ears. I think this needs to go right up here. Like so. That's better. Okay, I'm happy with that side. Let's come over to our left hand side, and again grab the pen tool, and we're just going to slowly start to build up the hair. So that's coming down there. Again, it's a little bit too wavy. This can be quite frustrating doing the hair, but I'm just going to grab this and come down. Okay, that's better. Then I'm going to grab another bit. Going to come down. Okay, move that below the one we just created. And again, start drawing out this further one up here. It's going to come right down. Come up, bring that one down. That's a rather fat sideburn, and just going to play with this. Bring that in just a touch. That's not too bad. And then one final one. It's going to go down and up. And we can bring that one down as well. So let's zoom out and let's have a look at our little chap. So that can be a little bit frustrating playing around with the hair, but once you get it, let's turn off our original sketch drawing here. Okay, you can start to see it is taking shape. The hair's a little bit, looks a little bit like a toupee. So let's just zoom in on these areas that need some work. Should adjust my headphones. So let's grab that layer there, A on the keyboard, just bring that over. Like so. Okay. This one looks a little bit off because it's so long. So what I might do is, you could make this last shape that we created at the top of this little flick. We need to make that a little bit bigger. like so. That might help out just a bit. He still looks a little bit freakish. I'll definitely be the first to admit that. But we can start to add some of the background hair. It's just exactly the same procedure. I've done some already. I'm just going to bring that in. And as if by magic, where's that hair folder? Shout when you see, there it is. Bring in my hair, and it kind of just fills out that background layer. I created it in exactly the same way as I did these layers. You can get all of the files again from the membership area, bring them into your design, or just play around with them. But that's the hair, so grab that or carry on creating those, and I'm going to move on just for the sake of the tutorial, and we're going to start to pen in the shorts, shirts and the rest of the body. So let's turn back on sketches just so I can see what it is we're penning. P on the keyboard is going to bring up the pen tool. Z is just going to zoom us in, and we can start with our t-shirt. I'm just going to grab the yellow, that's press I on the keyboard, and still in the pen tool I'm just going to draw out my shirt. Don't worry about that layer style, get rid of that in a second. Okay, and I'm actually going to clear that layer style. And I'm going to come down to my shorts. Before I do that, let me just add that layer style in because I know I'll forget. So for our shirt, it's an inner shadow. We're going to set that to multiply, change that color to FE 8A 00. Click on OK. We're going to reduce that down to 40%. Angle is going to be 113 using our global light. Distance is going to be set to 0, 0 and 169. Inner glow now. Again, we're going to set this to overlay. Our opacity is going to be down to 34. And then 0. The default color is fine. Softer, make sure you change the source to center. 0 and then 125 for that. Click on OK. Now we can pen in our shorts. So I'm going to start down here. Probably not the best way to have gone around that, but and I'll click that last one like so, and obviously we can change this color to a lightish blue. Click on OK, right click, clear those layer styles, go back in, and now we can add some new ones. Inner shadow, we can set our inner shadow to multiply. We can set that color to 009 1FE, and we can reduce that down to 38%. We're going to have that set to 113 is fine. 0 0, 169. Then our inner glow, we're going to have that set to overlay. And we're going to reduce that down to 30. 0. This time we're going to change the color to BF FD7F. BFFD F7. That lime green was a bit weird. Okay, softer again, center. Our choke is still going to be 0, and we're going to increase size to 125. Let's click on OK. Let's click away and have a look. Let's make sure our shorts are underneath our t-shirt. They look pretty good. Now we're going to do the arms. So start up here, they're going to come out. And I'm going to zoom in because the fingers are going to be just as bad as my shoes. And kind of want it to be roundish. So we're going to come up. Oh, that colour, I don't know why it's so horrible. So we're going to come up, we're looking at the line here coming up to the top. So I'll click on that, so it's going to come up. Along. Down. Come down. Now, I know these aren't great, but just for the tutorial, I am rushing a little bit. And my drawing skills are pretty poor. And then we're coming back down the hand. I always miss that last point. Okay, right click, clear those layer styles. Double click on the color, choose one of the facial colors, click on OK. Let's go back in and we're going to apply our layer styles to this. So multiply for our inner shadow. Yep, we're going to set the color to FF AA97. Click on OK. Our angle is going to be 113, that's all fine. 0, 0, 46. Then inner glow is going to be set to overlay. Reduce that down to 26. 0. Color is going to be FEE 6CO. Click on OK. Soft is fine. Center. Set the choke to 0. And the size to 215. And let's click on OK. And come over to this hand on the right hand side. Again, just start to draw this out. And again, obviously you can choose how many fingers you want your guy to have. And what kind of shape you want those hands to look or take even. Okay, and it doesn't matter about that layer style because it's right, it's from the last one, so that's all okay. Now we're going to add just a little bit of a neck. So we're going to zoom out. Let's bring this back over here. And the neck's going to come from here to about here. Something like that. Looks pretty good. Looks like a little bit of a suntan there. And let's have a look at our little guy. Okay, no legs yet, so I'll go in and do the legs in a minute. But he's starting to take shape. Before we move on, we're just going to add a little bit of detail in here. We're going to make sure that our shirt is above all of those layers, but under the neck and the head, like so. Our shorts are okay. Missed a little bit there, I don't know how I did that. But not, oh, that could be from the original colour layer underneath. Yeah, it is, so I don't need to worry about that. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of detail here. We're going to add some shadowing on the left hand side of our sleeve here. So I'm going to go back up to one of these arms. I believe it's this one here. I'm going to zoom in and we're going to create our shadow. And we're going to grab one of these darker shades, the naturally darker shades, and then with the pen tool, just going to come down, along, up and back, and I'm just going to move that up like so, and reduce the opacity down to about 50%, something like that. And again, we can do the same for this arm. Okay, and we're going to move this layer up. Okay, I'm not sure why that layer didn't draw in there. Okay. So I'm going to right click, just make that a selection, and just fill it with that colour on a new layer. Oh, it's because we're below this arm. That is why. So let me just undo that. That was silly. There we go. Reduce our opacity again down to about 50%. Thanks for sticking with me through that. So there's our little bit of shadow poking through there. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to add a little logo. We're getting close to finishing this off, or at least getting to the point where I got up to in the last tutorial. We're going to drag and create a custom shape. I've got this fire selected. I'm going to do it in a similar blue to this down here, and I'm going to alt click and drag, create that layer. Just going to shift it up a little bit, they tend to be a little bit higher, and drag this up above my shirt layer and increase the opacity 100%. Let's have a look at him. Okay, looking good. We've finished with the top half. We're now moving on to the dreaded legs. Going to start down here on the left leg, and to be honest with you, I struggled a lot with this, but we'll give it a go. I'm not promising anything. Grab the pen tool, and we're going to grab those flesh color tones, and we're just going to grab our legs, going to come down like so, cross, up, and finish. And we can actually just copy these layer styles from the hand. So copy that layer style and paste that over, right click, paste layer style. And that looks pretty good. Now we're going to create another layer. This layer is going to be a grey colour, and it's going to start around here. Looks something like that. Clear that layer style, and I'm going to create another bit which is going to be our tongue. Maybe that looks like this. And maybe that colour's just a little bit darker, like so. And then I'm going to sample this green, and then with the brush tool, this is the bit where it kind of falls apart for me. I'm going to draw in this area down here. And I'm just going to fill this in. Now this strictly isn't the steps in the tutorial, but I couldn't get it to work for me, and I got a little bit frustrated. And in the end just created this little technique of my own. And then the laces, well, I wasn't great at the laces. They kind of go like that. And then there are some stripes coming down. I know this is awful, so I'm not going to pursue the feet anymore, but you get the general idea. And then the last thing that we have to do is turn off our original sketch layers. I know I haven't got that leg and this leg's rubbish. Is basically grab everything, come all the way down to our feet and our hair, grab all of that, stick it in a group, duplicate our group, turn off our original, merge all those layers down by Command D or Control E, and Command J to duplicate that. Gonna grab that, and we're gonna fill that with black. Why did that not fill everything? Let me just grab my brush quickly and go over all of this. Okay. Great. And then we're gonna Command transform that. Move it below first. Right click perspective. Gonna move that to the right. Right click scale. bring that down, and then bring it over. Filter blur, and we're going to give this a motion blur, or just a Gaussian blur, but yeah, nice and big. Click on OK, and then just reduce the opacity down as you see fit, and that's my finished little guy. It looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but there is an art to this character design and character creation. Have a go at doing the feet yourself. The steps are all there, but I unfortunately just kept getting frustrated with it, and maybe I'll give it another go at another time. And there's some extra little details like the stitching and stuff you can do with a brush, but I think I gave it a good go. So do check it out on psdtuts.com or psd.tutsplus.com on how to create a fun redhead boy by Anastacia. I've been Gavin Steele, a little bit long with that tutorial, but I hope you enjoy the final effect.